Hi everybody, this is Dave Shopius, and I'm doing part two of my Nightmare from Christmas clock sound modification. If you recall, in the first part, if you've seen it, I completed the sound modification. I was pretty happy with it, but the problem was that the big speaker that I put in there, which is this one right here, was causing the clock to run very slow. I was losing a couple hours a day, actually. It was so bad. So what I did, I went and found a couple of small speakers and tested a few of them and found the one that I was happy with. And I want to show you which one I put in there and how it turned out. That's what this second part is all about. So I'll start going through some of the things I've done since we talked last. The first thing I'll just start off with is if you recall, I'm powering this clock now with wall voltage, 120 AC, AC converted to 5 volts D3 through a wall wart. And because I don't like the way the cord hangs down, I'm channeling it through a wall into a closet and back out to a plug. So I put a Anderson power connectors on here so I can disconnect and connect really easy. And these are great. This is 15 amps. It'll hold 15 amps, and this thing will only pull maybe up to 1 amp. So these are perfect. They're small, compact, easy to use, plug in and out, easy to install. And I can take this big clunking wall wart off, thread this through the holes, and plug it back in and plug it in the wall. I'll show you that later. Let's see. Pretty much I had broken off her flower before I put that back on. You can see that. So let's flip it over. I'll show you some of the other things I've done. Hopefully I won't break it. A lot of these guys are fragile, so I'll take my time here. We're in no hurry, right? So, okay. Now, the first thing I want to show you back here is, because I didn't like this little wall hanger they had up here, you can kind of see where it was across here. I thought that was very dangerous. Who knows what would happen? It'd break out over time. I put on this wire for picture hanging and attached a couple of deeper screws right into the main body here where it's a lot thicker. And then, because this thing hangs out a little bit when it's hanging, it tilts this clock forward. What I did was I took a couple pieces of acrylic and cut them and hot glued them on here and here, and I put the tab. First I took the rubber tabs off of there and I re-glued the tabs on top, so this little bit of thickness compensates for the way this thing pulls out and this clock hangs straight. So that looks better, and it's better for the clock pendulum when it's going back and forth. It's not rubbing on nothing, because when it tilts forward, it'll rub in there. So, all right, and because I am running everything off of 5-volt DC power now through this wall wart, I don't need batteries in here anymore. So I scratched that off and put a little note on here for anybody that comes behind me not to put batteries in here. This used to take 3 AAAs. I'm sorry. Yeah, AAAs, 3 AAAs. So also, this is where I had the old speaker mounted inside, if you recall, pointing down. And that's not there anymore, so I didn't want a big hole in here, so I took and covered inside with this nice adhesive back felt that kind of covered everything up. Plus, I had the added it helped me with the any vibrations that would come through. So that was kind of nice. So it sits in there nice. It's nice dampered, and I don't know if that dampers the sound anymore, but the sound now is fantastic. Once I found the proper speaker and mounted it. So there's the little speaker that I got. It's about 1.3 inches. I think it's built for laptops, but it's a full range speaker. That means it'll give you a good response on treble, mid-range, and bass. And like I said, it's only 1.3 inches. I built well, I didn't really build. I cut out a piece of acrylic, drilled out the center just the right size for the cone, so it wouldn't be pressing up against anything, and hot glued this speaker to the acrylic. You can't see the acrylic anymore because I've got it all covered with hot glue. And then I set that in there over the original spot where the original crappy little speaker was, and hot glued the whole mess in there. And what it does, it gives it a good bond to the side of the clock. And I was amazed on the difference between the speaker being out of the clock and sitting on out here, or just laying in here, and just actually being bonded to the clock and projecting the sound out. It's just amazing. The highs are nice and crisp. The mid-range is clear, and there's good response on the bass. So it sounds really good with this one little speaker. And like I said before, I cut these the sidewalls out here, and I put speaker material over some screening. You can see that in my last my first part video, how I did all that. And then like I said, I cut all that out. And I did the same thing over here, and actually you can hear sound coming out of there too, plus down here. So, well, probably because you have, openings here. So I'm not a big sound guy, so I don't really know. But like I said, the name of the speaker is Vistatin. I believe that's how you say it. The model number is BF-32. I got that through Mouser, and they can sell. You can buy it through Amazon too, but Mouser or DigiKey, I got it in 4 days. So this is the original speaker that I had in there. You can see how big it is compared to that, and that little guy sounds better. Probably because it's mounted nicely, correctly, and pointed out. This is a good sounding speaker also, and it's also made by Vistatin, but that's the one that I needed right there. So to recap what I did here, on the inside, hopefully we can give you a good view here. You can see right there is the Adafruit soundboard that I use. You can see all this on my first part of this video. Down below is the 3-watt amp that it goes through. Back there, down in the corner, you can see the relay that I have mounted that triggers the sound on the Adafruit soundboard when the control board, which is under here, triggers that relay, and then triggers the sound, which in turn sends it over to the speaker. So sorry about all that. I didn't know if you could see that without the light or not. So the other thing I did that I would like to mention, that I mentioned before, is the right back in there, down in there, you can see that is a buck converter board. It takes the 5 volts coming in, feeding the Adafruit and the amp board back there, converts it down to 1.5 volts, brings it back into here, and I've got a wood dowel in here where the AA battery used to sit that's feeding the clock movement, so I don't have to worry about a battery in there either. So I'm just tickled as I can be. And once I took out this speaker, and put that speaker in, the clock started keeping time properly. I think that the magnet sitting in here was interfering with the movement somehow. I don't have any scientific proof, but when I took it out, I actually hung it out of the clock once and let it hang there for a day, and it did start running properly once I got some distance between there. So magnets, those fields they put out was probably screwed around with the clock movement. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put it all back on the wall, and I will try to give you an idea what it sounds like now. Maybe you could compare it with the original clips that I had in my first part, and give me an idea of how you like it. Okay, I will be back in a few minutes with everything on the wall, and we'll run through a few sound clips. Okay, and hopefully you can see the difference, hear the difference. Bye bye. Okay, we're back. I've got the clock all mounted, powered up, and you can see the pendulum's running good. And I can assure you that it is keeping time perfectly now that I've got that big honking speaker out of there, and I got the nice little compact speaker mounted like I showed you earlier. So I'm going to show you a few things here, how it is mounted. Again, remember I had that picture. Oops, sorry, I had that picture wire up in there. You can probably see it back in there, and the gap between the wall. And I had to bump it out a little bit with those little standoffs, so it sits nice and straight, or as straight as it needs to. And the cord now is hidden. I drilled a hole in the back right at the base of the clock where you can't even see, and ran it into that closet right there. And some people would freak out about drilling holes in their walls, but hey, this is a game room. So I've got it coming in the closet, running back out down there, and then there it comes back there. So see it coming out back there, running down, and there's that Anderson power pin connector and the wall wart. And of course I didn't make my cord long enough, so that's another project for another day. So I just plugged it into the proper size extension cord, so it'll still get enough power plugged into the wall. So there you have it, on the wall and working. Now it's almost 5 o'clock, so I'm going to wait for this thing to hit 5. I'll come back and record it. And I do it by hand, but you're not supposed to run those dials, those clock hands with your finger. There's a dial inside the clock to do it. So every time I'm going to do, it'll take a few hours, but you won't notice but a few minutes passing. Okay, every time it hits the top of the hour, I'll record it again. I'll be back shortly. Okay, it's getting ready to start here. Hopefully you can hear the difference in the music.
When it comes to surprises in the moonlit night, I excel without ever even trying. With the slightest little effort of my ghost-like charms, I have seen grown men give out a shriek. With the wave of my hand in a well-placed bow, I have swept the very bravest off their feet.
Now that was probably the worst recording that I have. It's slightly over-modulated, and believe it or not, that's the way it is in the movie. It's got some raspy high notes, and I couldn't get them out with Audacity. I did take I got 10 clips in there that I cut off a Blu-ray, and that I ripped out of a Blu-ray disc that I have, a movie that I bought. Yes, I did buy it. And I ran the clips through Audacity and leveled them out and played with the bass and the treble and fade in and fade out, and I just couldn't get that raspiness out. So, and you saw me playing with the volume control over here. I had it turned all the way up too. That makes a big difference. It's really loud. I don't know if you could tell that or not. I had it turned up all the way. So I'll come back again at 6 o'clock and maybe a few other times throughout the evening, and or maybe I'll just get tired of all that and I'll take the wall and take it off the wall and dial it in manually. So I'll be back with more stuff. All right, the kidnapping of Santa Claus, or Sandy Claus. Okay, I'll get you another one to listen to.
Something's up with Jack, something's up with Jack. Don't know if we're ever going to get him back. He's all alone up there, locked away inside.
Never says a word. Hope he hasn't died.
Something's up with Jack, something's up with Jack.
I hope you can hear the difference between the way it was in my first part of this video and the way it is now. That was a good representation of highs and lows. You had the three vampires singing the really high ones, and then you had the low voices from the big guys walking by in the movie. So I'll get you a few more to listen to.
Christmas time is buzzing in my skull. Will it let me be? I cannot tell. There are so many things I cannot grasp. When I think I've got it, and then at last, through my bony fingers it does slip, like a snowflake in a fiery grip.
"'Twas a long time ago, longer now than it seems, in a place that perhaps you've seen in your dreams, for the story that you are about to be told took place in the holiday worlds of old. Now, you probably wondered where holidays come from. If you haven't, I'd say it's time you begun."
I love that. It's the prologue of the whole show when they're doing the first credits. So I hope you're enjoying this. I am.
For the first time since I don't remember when, I felt just like my old bony self again. And Jack, the Pumpkin King. That's right. I am the Pumpkin King.
I am the Pumpkin King. All right, let's do some more. I'll be back in a minute.
What's this? What's this? There's color everywhere. What's this? There's white things in the air. What's this? I can't believe my eyes. I must be dreaming. Wake up, Jack. This isn't fair. What's this? What's this? What's this? There's something very wrong. What's this? There's people singing songs. What's this? The streets are lined with little creatures. When it comes to surprises in the moonlit night, I excel without ever even trying. With the slightest little effort of my ghost-like charms, I have seen grown men give out a shriek. With the wave of my hand and a well-placed bow, I have swept the very bravest off their feet. Much more fun, I must confess, with lives on the line. Not mine, of course, but yours, oh boy. Now that'd be just fine. Boys and girls of every age, would you like to see something strange.
Come with us and you will see. This our town of Halloween. This is Halloween. This is Halloween. Pumpkin scream.
Says there's trouble close at hand. You better pay attention now, 'cause I'm the boogeyman. And if you aren't shaking, there's something very wrong. 'Cause this may be the last time you hear the boogie song.
Well, I'm glad I got that one. I'm just about out of batteries here. So I think we'll wrap it up there. You guys got a good idea of how this thing works. They play randomly. I got 10 song clips in there. And I'm going to say that this thing is a success, and I'm really, really pleased with the way it turned out. I love the sound. Thanks for hanging in there with me, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.